Welcome to Saints Talk, the official podcast of NewOrleans.Football. We're starting off on a silly note here, but we're going to have some fun with it today, guys. NewOrleans.Football, that's the only place where you can get all your Saints content. That's where Nick writes everything, pretty much all of his thoughts. Whatever he stays up dreaming about it goes there. So NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Link is always in the show notes, so make sure you guys go there if you're looking for a way to get to the site directly. Make sure you follow Nick on Twitter at Nick_Underhill. And make sure you follow the NewOrleans.Football Twitter account, NODOT Football. Football is, I know we've been saying this for a while, but football is really back this time because it's actually happened and things have happened. And we're here to talk about it. So, Nick, what's up, man? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling great. You know, like a month ago, I probably would have put the odds on going through the process, getting COVID tested, being on the team, all that stuff going on. I'm like 98% sure the season's going to go off. Like, I'm sure there's going to be some issue somewhere at some point.
Right.
But my confidence level on getting from A to Z, I think it's going to happen. And like I said, there's going to be disturbances. Like at some point, something's going to happen to some team.
It's been good so far though, man. Like NBA bubble type good, which is weird.
There was 52,000 tests and there were 6 positives and those weren't any players. Those were team personnel, other staff. So it's insane right now how well this is going outside of the huge mess up the other day with all the false positives.
Yeah,
but whatever. They weren't real positives. So whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you got area scouts catching it, not the players on the field. Right. So, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty surprised that the numbers have been as low as they are, not just for the Saints, because I kind of expected the Saints to do well, but just across the league, it's just been good. So it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, there was a lot of skepticism early because, the NBA had this bubble and the NFL didn't. And, there was a lot of commentary about it, but I don't know, man. I just think you got to give a shout out to the NFL and whatever they're doing because it's working, right? And that's just what the facts say.
It's weird because I'm living in this world right now where it's almost doesn't exist. And every time you get comfortable with this thing, something happens to make you extremely uncomfortable and remind you. So I'm waiting for that thing, but this thing going so well so far, it shows that there's a level of personal accountability. And again, somebody's gonna screw up at some point. It's gonna happen, but the fact that league-wide, people are buying into this extent to this point, it's good. It's a good trend. It's a good direction for things. We'll see how, society is going to change, colleges opening up and all that. Things might change that end up impacting football. But right now, it's off to a great start, and I feel much, much, much better. And look, baseball going too. They're getting through it. Everything's heading in the right direction.
If baseball can bounce back, then
and their protocols are trash. They're the dysfunction with the way that started was unbelievable. But they got it under control. And I think the NFL is going to do a pretty good job. At some point, like I said, it's going to break out somewhere. Some team's going to get shut down. There'll probably be a game or two missed here or there in the season. But I think they're going to get to the end of the year, and I don't think it's going to be. I feel like the road's less bumpy now than it was. And that might be false confidence just off of, these controlled environments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But,
I mean, like you said, it's going well, other than the kid from the Seattle Seahawks with the, the little situation, but it seems like the player's been on top of it. That guy, he didn't make a good decision.
That's the worst. Yeah.
What are you thinking about? I wish we could man, this is a family-friendly pod, but, bro, that's a conversation to be had there. For you to risk it all, man, I mean,
you can do that. You can do that if you're Mike Thomas. And you can do that if you're Emmanuel Sanders.
Right.
You might live to fight another day if you're Traquan Smith, but you cannot be a dude that was what was he, a 6th-round pick? He was a nobody.
I thought he was undrafted.
Maybe he was undrafted.
He probably went to Pflugerville Community College or something. He snuck some. I'm bro, and here's the thing, you can't. It's nothing in the world that you can do that's not on camera. you're literally always being recorded. So for you to think that you're gonna just you're just gonna sneak that up in there and have a little time and come on, man.
Like you got to at least show the coach you're like a good piano player or something. Like you got to have something to prove that you're worth keeping around. But like this guy was
just Austin Carr.
Like he was just new to the team. Like he hadn't done anything. Like you can't do that, man. You cannot do that. What are you thinking? Man. And like he'll probably never get another shot in the NFL again because like he did something so stupid.
So stupid, bro. And the crazy part about it is like usually I'm kind of like forgiving to the players just because, whatever, man. I was stupid as a kid too. But like if I'm a player, I'm like, nah, bro, I'm snitching on people like that though.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you can't bring COVID to my house, bro, with my wife and my kids there. Like, no. Like, even the whole NBA thing, like the snitch hotline, I'm like, nah, you got to tell on them, man. Like you can't bring that stuff in there. So
yeah, I don't know why the onus is on like people doing the right thing, protecting people doing the wrong. Like this isn't like
this isn't like Bed-Stuy or nothing. Yeah, right. We're not in Queens. Right. Yeah, don't snitch. Like,
oh, you're messing up my millions. Like, no.
Right? Yeah. Like, come on, man.
Like this dude's gonna take Russell Wilson's money away. Come on.
Yeah, like, exactly.
No, you aren't snitching. You're protecting your livelihood and your family.
Millions. Yeah, like come on, man.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. Like
this isn't the G code out here. No.
There's no street credibility. Yeah. You guys all went to college. Yeah. So all right, man. Let's get into some Saints talk.
This ain't the Tuesday and Thursday sweep. Like, come on.
You ain't got no. Yeah, the 1st and the 15th is not a big deal for you, man. Come on. Oh man. All right. Saints camp. Let's start with the biggest story that is going to be the biggest story all camp. So let's not fake it. The backup quarterback battle. You guys go to the website. Go to NewOrleans.Football. Pretty much this daily status and kind of like take a step back overall view at the first week. Nick wrote about it. Kind of gave some thoughts upon like how Taysom is doing, how Jameis is doing, and whatnot. So the rundown article is out. That's like my favorite article of the week. I always say that. So make sure you guys go check it out because it's pretty good this week. So go ahead, Nick.
So yeah, as Sean Payton said, they're rotating those guys a little bit. I don't know if there's any way to look at it as if anybody's ahead or anybody's behind at this point. Like that they're in paths, but it isn't live. Ruiz has looked good in one-on-one blocking drill, so I'll give him that. I think early in practice, there's a lot of interior pressure, and I'm just gonna we're on the sideline watching this stuff, so it's not like a behind view like you would get on an all 22 view of the game, or even watching on TV where you can kind of see a little bit what's going on. We're in a very flat looking across view. And even if you get back, it's just hard to see in there. So trying to judge who's giving up pressure in the middle of the field, unless it's isolated one-on-one, you can see it on the edge.
Yeah.
But it's
that makes sense.
You know what I mean? So I can't say the early pressure in camp was him. I can't say
Sean not sending y'all all 22 for practice?
Nah. I can't say if it was Easton, but I will say the interior middle. And a lot of times it looked like it was coming more from the left than the right, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. You can't see what they're doing in there like that. So I'm not comfortable giving an assessment on the blocking, but I will say the snaps from where I'm sitting, it didn't look like anything was out of sorts with Ruiz in there. It looked like it was fairly smooth. I think that we probably would have had a pretty good idea if he wasn't getting the snap off and people are getting blown up, or you got guys way down the field before he's getting off or the quarterback has the ball. So
yeah,
it looked decently clean there, but it's 2 practices with him at center at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And look, the other thing too is we only talk about it through the prism of one guy. It's 2 guys. If McCoy isn't good at guard, you got to go back to the other way. So I don't think the way we've framed this conversation the whole time has always been can this guy do this? Right. It's also, can this other guy play guard? So it's a 2-pronged thing. We'll see. I mean, I think it's coming along okay, but I don't know. I don't know which way it's going to go yet.
Yeah. I think one of the things about interior O-line play, and the more you notice, the worse it's going. I guess that's how I put it. If you leave a game and the first thing you think about is the interior O-line play, probably wasn't a good game for the O-line, right? So, it's not one of those. I mean, it's cliche, but it's not a super sexy position. It's just a crucial position. But it's hard to see what's going on in the trenches down there. And so, I do think that, with it being, I haven't heard anything that said, hey, the interior O-line is looking bad. Like, there's been no reports of anything crazy. It's just like, all right, business as usual. The same thing if Wolford would have been there. So I think you kind of got to take that.
I disagree. I mean,
yeah,
the first few practices, like the reports are basically like David Onyemata is the greatest football player.
I mean, like a specific player. My bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, you can't really single anyone out though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's back to the issue. Like, I can't really say who's giving it up because I don't know, and I'm never comfortable making a guess. I'd rather just not know and say I don't know than be like, I think that. Especially when you're talking about assigning credit for like giving up sacks and stuff like that. I think it's super unfair. So I'd rather avoid it. But sometimes you got to read between the lines in like my reports, and if it's like David Onyemata is like killing, like you gotta piece it together. Like, there's just
we gotta wait for them to say it first.
Yeah.
No, I get it. But
yeah, I mean, Pete's not in there either, and you're throwing it off. And like, it seems like since these guys have been playing together for a few days, like you're getting some chemistry now, and they are doing better. Like the last few days have been a lot better. Early in camp, they couldn't. There were days where Drew just couldn't get a pass off. Like there was so much pressure, but that your tackles are sitting out a lot too. Like they're resting a lot of veterans. So, but the last few days, I feel like the protection has been a lot better.
Yeah, it seems like, and it's just my guess, a lot of guys got Monday off. Yesterday was Monday. I forget what day it is, man. It's that time of the year because they, Tuesday's an off day, so it's kind of like a long weekend or whatever for a couple of those guys. So I know Ramczyk was getting some rest and whatnot, and then I think I remember seeing there was another offensive lineman. I remember getting some rest. So yeah, I mean we'll see how it goes. I remember reading at the start it sounded really bad. I think Drew couldn't get passes off the first day, and it seems like progressively it's gotten better. And then the last practice, from the reports, it seems like it was the best offensive practice that they've had. And usually the defense starts a little bit faster. I mean, this is not new. I don't think anyone reasonably got panicked about the offense. Yeah, because we're kind of like football trained to know that these things take some time, right? And so. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like anything out of the norm. I remember at the start of training camp last year, there were some snaps that McCoy and Drew, they were some bad snaps where, the ball was on the ground. So that's what training camp is here for. That's the purpose of it, right? To iron this stuff out. So, I'm probably guilty of this, but it seems like one of those things that I just kind of assume is going to work out. That's probably really dangerous, and I'm pretty sure Dan Rashad doesn't think that, but that's just how I kind of feel about the O-line, right? That they'll figure it out one way or another.
My personal theory on why I started out the way it did with him at guard. Now, look, it went a little longer than I expected. Like I was a little bit surprised that he wasn't out there day one because it kind of feels like, well, throw him to the fire and figure it out. But if you're in a shortened camp, you're only allowed to practice at the start for 90 minutes, and they're allowed to go up by 15 minutes each day. So I think they're coming up on 2.5 hours now they can go. But
yeah,
again, you're limited on the time. If he's not used to hearing the cadence live, like on the field, like you can hear it in the classroom. If you're not used to hearing it live on the field, you're going to have these mistakes. And then these mistakes are messing up your plays.
You're going to have a shortened practice. And
right. You can't be starting stuff over all the time. Like they want to go through, make their mistakes, correct it in the classroom. But if it's like egregious to the point where, again, you're not getting the snap off D lines and you can't get a pass off or anything, can't do it. So I think, I have no evidence of this, but my thought is that they let him stay there for the first 5 days, 6 days, 5 days. Hear it, get used to hearing it. Okay, you're comfortable with it. Let's see if you can get these snaps off now. And then they did it, and it went okay, and they're going to keep going with it. So we'll see. It's a work in progress. But like you said, the last practice, we're just going to kind of shift gears off the line, I guess. The last practice was by far.
I started off asking about the backup quarterback, and you went straight to the O-line. So I was like, he doesn't want to talk about that.
Well, we can do backup QB, but yeah, yesterday was by far the best practice for the offense. Drew's 2-minute drill was as good as it gets. Traquan was outstanding in it. I think that yesterday to me solidified like any thought of anybody else taking that job from him. I think it's
They
his.
talk about Traquan way different than like everyone outside of the building, and they've been like that all off season.
And if you recall, when Brandon Coleman was wide receiver 3, like Sean would call him out and be like, he's got to step it up or he's going to lose a job.
Right. I remember that. And he called out Ted Ginn. Well, I don't know what he was, wide receiver 2 or 3, but he caught some flags. So he will, right? He will. Absolutely.
But look, like, I'm sorry, but I don't like Benny Fowler might make the team. Benny Fowler might end up winning, putting together 10 amazing days of practice and taking that job from him. Right now, today, on August 25th, when we're recording this, tomorrow, 26th, when it comes out, I'll stand by this on the 26th too.
Mm-hmm.
Drew ain't hitting Benny Fowler up the seam on 4th and 10 when they have to have it with a minute left in a 2-minute drill, like you just did with Traquan. Yeah. Like, it's not happening. Like, Traquan's not – look, Traquan's probably disappointing as a 3rd-round pick, right? Like, you probably thought he was going to do more by now. And, look, there's still plenty of time for him to change it. But I think
the story is not finished being written.
Right.
Some guys was a little slower. That's just how it is, right? And not slower mentally, just develop slower. But, yeah.
But let's say you never – look, whatever. Like, the pick at this point is a sunken cost. And either it gets on sunk or it stays sunk. But the pick's gone. It's spent.
Yeah.
Relative to the rest of the roster, he's better than the other receivers on the team. And that's just where it's at right now. Like, he blocks better. He receives better. He has chemistry with Drew.
Yeah.
Benny Fowler, sure. Drew likes him. He basically signed him to the team himself.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that was Drew's boy. He got him signed solo.
And look, that goes a long way. Like, that might go toward him like turning it on over the next 10 days or whatever. But like, he's caught 1 pass from Breeze in team drills. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
look at the results, right?
Yeah. Like, okay, there's good stuff on one-on-ones. There's good stuff on these videos that circulate on Twitter. And I understand, like, everybody's going to get more hype over the videos on Twitter now because there's no preseason games to watch or anything. This is it. So, like, yeah, you're – and that's the only thing. If you aren't at this practice, you're going to evaluate. Like, and I get it. Like, and he looks really good in those. Like, he's really good in the one-on-ones. Deontay Harris is amazing in one-on-ones too, but there's nobody over the middle. Yeah. So your 5'6" guy can run a crossing route across the field.
Right.
He's not going to get lit up by a linebacker. That doesn't translate to a real football game.
Those routes, they're just not real routes to me. I mean, and I don't say real routes because they practice them, but it's like
you can't play to any help.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're a cornerback on an island and you don't know which way you're going, but the receiver does. So yeah, and I think when the offense wins, you expect it. When the defense wins, that's when I would note, right? When I see a guy winning defensive snaps and one-on-ones, I'm like, okay, that's impressive. Offensive guy, you kind of expect it.
You know who I'm judging in one-on-ones, and this is the only guys I'm judging, is the people going against Marshawn and Jackrabbit and nobody else. Because they're going to cover. They're going to cover like that. They're going to cover like that.
Yeah, that's their job.
Yeah. But then even then, if like the route gets 35 yards down the field, at some point Marcus Williams is coming over the top.
Yeah, with an asterisk on that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean,
but like the 15-yard out route, sure. Like if you're beating Jenkins or you're beating them on even a crossing route, because sometimes you're going to be cover 3 and playing the help over the middle.
Yeah, the linebackers are taking depth and the guy goes underneath. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, here's how I look at it. I'm not out there, but my philosophy is when I look at those videos, if a guy is covering a guy for about 3.5, 4 seconds, then I think he's done his job.
Yeah.
Right. I think if you beat me in second 5, then, that's like, I've done my job as a cornerback because that's about as long as you expect guys to cover.
I mean, if you're covering for 3.5 seconds, you're probably like one of the best. Yes.
You're elite. You're Stephon Gilmore from 2019.
Come on, man. Like, yeah.
That's just how I look at it. Right. And that's a high bar, but that's kind of what you expect from Lattimore. High bar with Lattimore, high bar for the team. Right. So that's why I have it there. But yeah, when I see a guy running like an out route and then he comes back in and he goes upfield, I'm like, that's a high school football drill route. That's not happening in the NFL. There's not enough time to run that route.
Like I'm not saying Traquan's so good that he's cemented, but I'm saying right now the way we're having this conversation is insane. Like that all these everybody's like ready to get rid of. Like no, he's the guy. He's the guy right now, and I think it's pretty clear. It's very clear that he's ahead of everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. And one more thing before we move to the next topic. I thought Coach CJ had some interesting points about him, how they moved him around. Like he played outside, then he was inside. Now he's back. He was outside, now he's back inside, and he had to switch, and he got hurt. So I think they feel like, he's been moving around, and his development has kind of been stunted a little bit with injuries. So, and look, I've been hard on Traquan, man. He's been my whipping boy. It's justified, in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, they see something in him, and I think it's a new year, man. Let's see what he can do. He's surrounded by ridiculous talent. No one's paying him. No one's going to be like game planning Traquan Smith. If they do, then that is something really good happened. And so, as a number 3 wide receiver, your outlook on him is totally different than if he was a number 2, right? The calculus has changed now. So that's part of the analysis.
Look, I think I called it a make or break, maybe even a make or break camp for him coming in. Like I thought that he could come into this and lose his job. Like I really did. And he just hasn't. Like
they like him, man. They love him.
Right. Look, my business is better if I'm sitting here telling you that somebody's taking his job and I can like write about that guy and like nobody's paying to read about Traquan Smith. Like,
so, like, Benny Fowler articles popping off.
Right. Like here's why Benny Fowler's the 3rd receiver on the Saints article. Like, that would be very good for me, but it's just not true.
Yeah. That's it. It'll be a good look for that day. Really bad.
I got to maintain my credibility. Look, I'm just saying.
Bad takes exposed, right? You don't want to. Yeah. You don't want to be on there. Okay, so what's going on? How is the just high level? How is the Taysom versus Jameis battle looking?
It's looking like one guy is learning the offense and the other guy he's all right.
Okay, enough said.
Like, see, I mean, like the thing with Jameis is 7 practices, right? So we'd be 3. He'd be in week 3 of OTAs right now. First week. I wouldn't go out though. I would never go out to OTAs and try to judge somebody, a quarterback especially.
Yeah.
New to a team.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's the thing that bothers me is I feel like we're going to get to the end of camp and not really know.
There's no way we know.
Yeah. And I was hoping to know. And like, look, maybe it clicks in and it's outrageous. And he has like, what are there? 10 practices. There's 10 practices
10 left, right?
Yeah. So maybe it just starts and he comes off this off day and like something happens today and he's just out of this world. And then we're like, oh my God.
Right.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Quarterback. Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen though. I mean, there's things that I feel like he's getting better with each practice. Like he had a really, really good 7-on-7 period, but they didn't let him go in the 2-minute. I would have loved to see him in the 2-minute.
Right.
But afterwards they gave him a 7-on-7. He was awesome in that. The day before he threw a couple picks, but I thought he made some of his best throws outside of those picks. So you are seeing progress. I just don't know where it's going to be by the end. On Taysom, I thought he started pretty good. It's a lot of checkdowns, but whatever. Like checkdowns get you to the next down. I'd like to see him throwing down the field a little bit more than he has, but these last 2 days, Sean, look, I'm not
that comment was crazy.
Yeah, I can put this on the coach. Like, Taysom wife had a baby, and he said Taysom looked like he was the one that went through delivery.
I read that. I was like, whoa.
And then yesterday he got in the his team period before wasn't very good, and then he got in the 2-minute drill, 4 downs and out.
4 downs and out.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's some of the stuff you said. It's like he isn't really going off script in practice and all that stuff. I would just like to see, and again, we're early in camp. He had 2 days off. He came back. I think some rest is evident. He's probably
been
not
here 3 years though. I mean,
he's probably not sleeping very well. Day 2 after having a baby. Like I can understand like an element of this, or like where he's not at his mental best right now.
That's understandable.
Yeah, so I don't want to be too hard on him, but I mean,
the day after I got Marley, I didn't get much work done the next day at work.
Sure, so. my Shireen was crying all night long.
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah, I was like, nah, I gotta take care of my dog, man.
Yeah, now we're talking about a human, so I imagine it's a lot harder.
I think my dog is pretty close to.
Nah, I don't. Man. I love my dog, but I'm saying
take him out in the middle of the night, clean up. Yeah. Anyways, not dog pot.
All right, anyways.
I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a little leeway right now. I don't want to judge him too hard off these, but, like, it's just –
I'll say this, right? he's been here, and look, this is battles. It's way early, but he's been here 3 years, so you would like to see. Like, I don't want to see him and Jameis equal, right? Like that's
He's ahead. He's ahead.
okay. All right. Okay, good, because
He was well ahead until the last 2 days. Like Jameis, at one point, Jameis was below 50% passing, and
I remember that.
the first. Okay, so before Taysom had 4 incompletions before the baby thing. So that was the first 3 practices. So through the first 3 practices, he had 4 incompletions. 2 were drops. 1 was a tip at the line. He had 1 incompletion. So like he was like lighting it up a little bit. And again, like there's a good amount of checkdowns in there, but like
let me ask you: is Jameis throwing intermediate and deep in Taysom? Is he checking it down? Like, what's the context of right? Because if Jameis is throwing the ball like into coverage, X amount of yards downfield, and Taysom is checking it down, then look, there's a decision making aspect there, but I also think there's there's context to be had there.
Yeah, I mean, Jameis has the overthrows have been the biggest issue, I think, with him in camp. But look, I'd rather have him overthrowing somebody down the field than like trying to force a ball in. So like if you're just like, all right, I don't have anything, I'm going to take it down the field.
I see.
So I'm okay with missing like that. Like he's missing at least in ways. And look, he's thrown a good amount of interceptions, so I'm not giving him like a pass. But
right
when you're missing like that, it's like, all right, you gave a guy like there was a 20% chance, but like there was a 0% chance of a pick. So
intercepting the ball.
And some of that I'm okay with, but again, I really struggled to give like an evaluation on him. I struggle to give like context to like a 50% passing. Like you're new to the offense, you're throwing to guys that aren't going to make NFL teams.
No OTAs, no mini camp.
Yeah, so it's unfair. Like I kind of feel like I'm going to throw like everything out on him and like judge him like I think entirely off like the last 4 practices.
Okay.
And like that's what I'm going to think of him. It's going to be like, all right, well, the situation's terrible for you being a new quarterback. It's probably unfair to evaluate you at all. But like you had 13. Let's see what you know. Like that's how I feel
fair.
like
That's fair. I'm with that. Because 17 practices total. Shake the rust off for the first couple of weeks of practice. Show some signs. And yeah, but I just think that if he and I don't know if we'll get a direct answer regardless of what happens between them, but even if they're equal by the end of this camp, I just think that's that's not good for Taysom because he's been in the system for 3 years, right? You want to see, like, I expect Taysom to know this offense, right? I expect him to be able to know the reads, know where guys are going. Like, I expect all of that. And so, but we'll see. I think his game is different. We've spoken about it. He's a gamer. I hate using that word, but that's kind of like who he is. So,
Jameis keeps doing things physically though that nobody else on the team can do. And that matters. Like it does matter. Like
So you said, which is different because you said Jameis, not Taysom, right? So that's both. There's a skill set from both quarterbacks that is somewhat unique.
Yeah, I mean, Jameis is going to be able to make throws that nobody else can make, and that's shown up a bunch of times. There was one they were doing a red zone drill. He was thrown to the right side of the end zone. Callaway ran a curl like right over by the right pylon. Jameis got flushed out of the pocket. Look, he moves well in the pocket too. Like people don't talk about like his athleticism.
He's always been like that though. Really annoying to tackle, man.
He's silky smooth. Like
it's a little awkward looking, but it works. Like I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. Like he's really good at that. Like he avoided the rush, and then like just there was 3 guys around Callaway, and like he just rifled this thing in there, and it was like, oh damn, like nobody else is doing this on the team.
Arm strength the ball in there.
Yeah. And then there was one yesterday, 7-on-7, Ethan Wolf, the tight end, going over the middle and like super tight coverage. And like Jameis, again, just like rifled it in there. Like, and the dude was like getting hit as the ball came. And like the way the ball got in there, like it just shouldn't have got in there. Like Drew wouldn't have gotten that pass in there.
I see.
So there's just stuff there's stuff he can do late in the play. Like, cause he can throw the ball late. Like he can hold it longer. He has more arm strength. You can rifle it in there. Like, Drew needs to like see it and like, he needs to start early.
Yeah, he's got to anticipate.
Right. And his he's the most accurate quarterback in the world with this arm that isn't like that. But like Jameis can do stuff that the others can't. And like,
I see.
It pops. Like you watch it and like But between the two of them right now, like I don't think you watch and you're like, all right, this is the successor. Like yet. Like I think both of them are still, trying to go through things. But like I said, I can't look at Jameis right now in it's just not fair. It's
Right.
extremely unfair. And
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Well, we're gonna keep talking about it because it's most exciting thing.
like Taysom, I'm sorry,
No,
Taysom.
go
Like
ahead.
maybe if he maybe if he wouldn't have this interruption and then the last two practices wouldn't have been sluggish, like maybe my view of him would have looked different because like the start was really good and he was really consistent early. Then he misses a few days and then this life issue, understandably, like probably is affecting something.
Right.
So I think with both guys, like the whole framing of this conversation is a little bit like it isn't what like yeah, I want different circumstances for this whole thing. Like I want a regular offseason. I want Jameis to know the offense before he's coming to the
Taysom, why you gotta go start a family when we got football to talk about?
I mean, no, Taysom's good. Taysom's good, but you know what I mean? Like I just wanted like this. It's just like it's hard to talk about either one of them, and that is the excitement of training camp.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. I get it. It makes perfect sense. Real quick on Drew, he threw a couple of deep balls? Was that like him showing off his arm, or is it nothing big to talk about? Like, did you notice anything different on there?
I just think he's back to where he was pre-thumb. Honestly, like he was hitting these kind of passes before that, like the
pre-shoulder Atlanta game too from the previous year.
Yeah,
probably.
Like he's hitting those passes, like the pass against to set the record, like to Traquan, like that's a deep ball on Stroud. Like he did throw like 40 yards through the air, but again, like we're not talking like from the line of scrimmage through the air, like 40 yards from the point of release, like so 5 yards behind. Probably been like 35 yards through the air.
Okay.
Like from scrimmage, but real distance, 40 plus. Okay. So I mean, look, it's there. He hit both passes in stride. That's what you need. That's all you need. You don't really need this. I don't know. Like I look, I'm sure he did it. But like when you look at Drew on the field from like the opposite 40, and you're like, he can really throw that thing to the end zone, huh? Like I want to see it. Yeah, you got to show me. You got to show me because that looks a real long way, and I've never seen you do this. It looks a real long way, man. Yeah, like, it's probably there. Look, the 40 looked easy. Hit the 40. It was timing and stride. Just
pretty much there.
Boom, gone. Yeah.
I think probably once you get over like 50 is probably when that thing start losing some steam on the back end. That would be my guess, right? Because that's where the deep ball, that's where the arm strength goes. It's not like when you get it out of your hands. Which some guys it comes out like a missile, but like on the back end, that ball just loses velocity. So I'm pretty sure anything 50, 55, you might want to stay away from that, Drew.
Yeah, until he shows me, until I see it. Like I'm gonna look, 60 yards is a long way, like for real. Like I'm looking at it like, all right, like he could probably sit here and like just everything, chuck it, get it there, like a Hail Mary, everybody posted up in the end zone. I can't picture him like
dropping the crowded pocket.
Yeah, like just like over the shoulder, 60 yards. Like I'm not seeing it, man.
It's not happening. Yeah, he threw it 60 yards like in the perfect conditions, clean pocket, no pass rush.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he can though. Look, if he does it, hey man.
No win.
I want to say, like, I'm with you. I want to say the max, like 49. Okay. 50.
Yeah, 50. Yeah, let's not get a little crazy, Drew. Let's bring Jameson for that. Oh man, how's the chemistry with Sanders?
It's getting better. Getting better. The weirdness of the offseason, I think, just shows up in everything. It's like, oh, okay, this is like. So yesterday was the day where it was like, oh, all right, like they're finally getting on the same page. It's taking a lot of work. They're putting in a lot of time, off to the side, all that stuff. They're doing everything they need to do. He was a diving catch away from like creating a complete and absolute frenzy.
Yeah.
So he caught the deep ball. He had 2 other catches at practice. Then it was almost like he should have caught it. Like the ball hit him in the hands. He dove. He lost it. If he had caught that pass, like it would have just been, the
hype train would have been NFL.com articles and fantasy football sites.
So it's there. It's there. I think that's going to be like the point where it's divided and now everything's going to be moving forward from there. So it started out slow. It was, again, you're looking at it like, man, this is kind of like very underwhelming, but then you got to remember the circumstances and like now it's picking up. And I do think that he's going to be the guy they want him to be.
Okay. That's like That's changing the
Yeah.
entire offense right there with Kamara looking like, his explosiveness coming back. Man, this offense is gonna be fun, man. What about the rookie tight end? Anything? I didn't even write him down. Anything on that front? Is he still just picking it up?
He's
Same
still picking it up. Yeah, I mean, some
old.
blocks are good, some blocks are bad. He had a catch yesterday. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that I can definitely see, like, maybe like week 7 or 8, he kind of starts to maybe hit his. And I'm not, like we said before, we don't think this is a big statistical year for him, but just like his ability to be on the field in certain situations and affect how the defense responds to what the offense look like they're about to do. So that's what I'll be looking for from him. Let's move to the other side of the ball. How does Zach Bond look? Apparently he was getting first team snaps. I mean, they were throwing him in there, and up until he kind of pulled up with Taysom, he apparently had been, showing some flashes at times.
Yeah. So the thing with him is you can kind of see him thinking, like, so like if there's a pass to the flat, you kind of see like takes a second, click, and like once it clicks, he's gone. And like
gone.
I think in the first practice, like you saw like he got beat to the outside by Ty Montgomery on a play. And like I noted that it was like the way he got to the sideline was really good, but it just took too long for him to get started.
Yeah.
So I think in the last practice, you saw like the processing and the movement happen a little bit quicker. So you do see it getting a little better, but like he'll be dropping back and like, lose sight of the coverage underneath. Like
I see.
So there's little things that happen with him that, it's a guy that's 7 days in the playing position, right? So I mean, like it's getting better. It's gonna be a process, but I think it's going as good as it could be.
That's good.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's off to a good start. Like my expectations for him too. Like, look, we talked about. I was like, I'm not looking at him as anything, and whatever he provides is going to be icing on the cake. Yeah. And I think he's far beyond like my bar was so low.
He's already like kind of exceeded.
Yeah, it was like this dude might come in on some third downs and rush, like whatever. Like whatever.
He's kind of like the third linebacker right now, though, pretty much, huh?
Right. So I mean, I think it's going to be. I think he's doing more than I expected for sure.
That's good to hear. Let's go to the DBs, because you've been telling me that, that's looking like it can be a really strong, maybe, one of the stronger units on the team based on early returns, specifically Jackrabbit. And we know what Marshawn is. Marshawn is Marshawn. But, yeah, how the corner specifically, how those guys are looking?
Yeah, Jackrabbit's good. He's real good. A lot of PBUs. He's as far as number 2 corners go. I don't know. He's
high end number 2. Huh?
He's extremely good as a number 2 cornerback. I'm trying to I covered the Saints for a while, so I mean, like the going off the number 2 is obviously he's better than any number 2 they've had since 2014.
Yeah, I mean,
man, all the teams I've covered, he's like, I don't know. Potentially, he's probably better than
any of them. I'm trying to think who. Tracy Porter was maybe the best number 2 for a while. What did Bro in West Bank play in the same year?
But Keenan was like banged up. Like he never really.
Yeah, I don't know who was number 2.
So 13 was Keenan's peak year. 14 he was, and then 15 injuries started setting in, and that's when Delvin came in. Okay. So yeah, Delvin played a lot with Browner, I think, right? Yeah. So the number 2 Jenkins is better than that number 2.
Yeah, let's move on to the next. Let's just move on.
Oh man,
yeah. We got old Lion up out of here, man.
Man,
you ain't seen him since.
I thought he was gonna be decent, man. I really did.
Oh man, dude. Like, I mean, he was. I'll say this. I feel like that was like, how do I put it? Like, worst case scenario. You got a guy with his skill set with no linebackers, and it was just like everything around him was bad. He was not good. It was just like the perfect storm of terrible.
Yeah.
So
oof.
Yeah, that
and
was
they were trying to play cover 3, and like Stephon Anthony didn't know how to cover the hook.
Hey man.
Oh man. I'm gonna pull up the clip one day. There's one specific play against Carolina that year that was just like the worst quarterback linebacker coverage. I'll never forget this play as long as I live. It was so bad. I'm gonna look it up and send it to you later, man. It's unbelievable.
Dude.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Man, that was some dark times,
Oh
man.
man.
That was some dark times. Yeah, that dude, he wasn't. They
I
got Rich
said
Ryan up out of here for that pick.
I sent more clips out that year to people because, like, man, sometimes things are so busted that you're just like, what was supposed to be happening here? So I sent more clips out
I
that year
remember
to
the
people.
talks. I was like, we were trying to get to the bottom of it, and he was like, "Man, what's going on here?" I'm like, "Man,
Oh my god.
this can't be salvaged. Like,
Oof.
you can't work with this. This is impossible." So,
What were
those
we talking
flats,
about?
man.
Oh, the cornerbacks. Yeah, they're
The
really good.
cornerbacks, yeah, Sean and Jenkins.
CD Deuce, the last 3-4 practices, I think he's probably been one of the best players on the field too. His coverage has been really, really
He
good.
seems like he's gonna be a stud, man.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
couple practices, it was like, I think he got off
He
to like it was a little bit slower, but then
was
like
one for
one,
two, 1 for 3, or something like that.
yeah, and again, like
And
we're judging. There wasn't a lot of team, and then you end up judging these one-on-ones because
one
there's no
on ones,
team.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So once they got into more team-heavy periods, like he's been awesome. The
yeah.
safeties are unbelievable, man. Like
Really,
the group of safeties. Yeah, I mean,
PJ, Malcolm, Marcus,
yeah, Swearinger, like they're really,
Swearinger, yeah,
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 they're
yeah.
really, man. They're PJ, like they're really good, man. They're
I'm
really good.
excited. I'm excited about PJ. Just because not necessarily. I'm not saying he's gonna be some All Pro, but I think like when I think of PJ as a backup, right? Which I think he's a little bit more than that. I think they're going to use him, but he's a good player to have on your team because you got a guy who he can play strong, he can play free, and he can play in the slot. So and he can play outside in the pinch, right? So he can basically play almost any position in the secondary, and that's exactly what you want in the backup player. And you can have some packages for him on when the rest of the crew is on the field. So yeah, he's just a good guy to have on the team. They call him the Swiss Army knife. I think DA called them that, AG called them that, and I think it kind of shows up with his skill set.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the safeties are going to be the identity of the defense.
Okay, and
There's
I
just
guess
so
what
many
is
of
Deuce?
them.
Is he a safety or what do you consider him, a safety or a cornerback?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
A safety,
Yeah,
I guess. Like Logan Ryan wants to be called a safety, and he does what
yeah, well,
CD does.
because
So,
that's stat manipulation, but yeah, yeah, he looks better as a safety than a corner, so call him a safety. Um, yeah, okay, yeah, I just think this seems like the year possibly where everything can come together, right? You got and I've heard this from a lot of people that Jenkins seems like really excited to be playing for the Saints.
which
Like
one?
Janoris, like he's really happy where he is. He's like highly motivated, and I think one of the coaches brought it up. Like he wasn't asked about it. He was just like he's really like happy to be here. I think it may have been AG. And then Marshawn is in a contract year. Marcus is in a contract year. And then you got Malcolm Jenkins, PJ, and CD all back there. So it seems like the secondary is filled out. Filled out. If they don't have the best secondary in the NFL, it's got to be top 3, top 4, right? Just they have a lot of depth there. I think when you look on the outside corner, that's one position you can maybe point out. I think P-Rob I guess he's made some plays from what I read, but
He's
you
had
look,
a good camp.
yeah, which is interesting.
I think I want to say it's interesting, but like I feel like him and PJ, like at this point, they are who they are until they empirically prove differently in an actual regular season game.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
y'all have been around too long. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah. I
can't.
think, yeah, I'm with you. I think PJ gives you so much in versatility that you feel good about him. With P-Rob, if he was like the inside corner, the backup inside corner, something like that, I would feel better. But with him being the backup outside guy, that just gives me a little anxiety. That's the one position I'm like, please don't let one of the outside corners get hurt, because
Yeah.
someone that we don't want there is going to be there. So,
Like
and
maybe he's turned the lead. Maybe he's figured out. I don't know, but like I would have to see it.
I would have to see it like over a course of a few
But
games.
I'll put it like this: if he was like a new guy to the team, the way he's played throughout camp, I'd be like, oh, like he's a solid depth.
He's a solid backup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like, remember we were like the year
I've seen too much.
Yeah, exactly. Like, remember how long we was the year they had the great run defense. It was like, is it real? 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 Then it's like, okay, it's got to be real. Like we got.
Yeah. It's like week 12. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Cool.
right. They good now. Yeah. 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 All right. Last one. D-line. It's my favorite position, like in football. So I obviously want to say this from last. The 3 guys I'm most interested in is Let's start with Granderson. Is it Ganderson or Granderson? I always get it mixed up.
There's an R.
Huh? Oh, isn't it? I'll say Granderson. So I'll be honest, when he came out of college, I didn't think his tape was like much. People were excited about him. I'm like, but it seems like he's having a good camp. He's putting on some weight, and it seems like he's starting to make some splash plays here.
Yeah, he's gained almost 20 pounds. He's been somebody that forces you to notice him.
Yeah.
Blows up a lot of runs. Like, and again, some of the it's not like live, like all the way live hitting. It's not tackling to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of them are shells, but like he's back there and he's getting through. He's active. He's got a bunch of sacks.
He's flashing. He can push to number 3?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Like the bar isn't super high. Right. I think he's outplaying Hendrickson, and Hendrickson's a notable
he's a camp darling.
He's a notable practice player.
Yeah, he loves to practice.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see him. I don't know if he would like. We'll see if he wins it, but he's at least providing a level of competition where it isn't like, here you go, Trey. You know what I mean? Like exactly. There's something. There's a level of competition there, and he's been good. Like he's been really good.
That's good to hear. Because I think we spoke about it this offseason, and just that third rusher who can maybe, coming from the edge or maybe have let one of the guys on the outside, like we specifically spoke about Davenport slide inside. I think that'll add a lot to the defense. So you don't need him to come in here to be all pro or anything like that, but just someone who can come in and maybe, spell the guys for a little bit and be effective in it. And it's good to hear that he's actually made some good run plays, because that's encouraging, because that means he can spell a guy for a series or something instead of just like nickel down. So
shows his like processing and vision too has improved a lot. So I mean, like he was just pass rushing last year and he wasn't super effective.
Right.
And there's definitely like a better level of recognition to
and he can probably play with more than just speed, which is going to like, because if you see him in your offensive tackle, you're like, okay, I'm just going to play his speed. I'm not worried about his power. So those 20 pounds, they maybe give you another pass rushing dimension.
Brian Nielsen's a really good coach too. Man, so dude.
I mean, I'm just hearing the Onyemata. You said he was playing well at a certain point. Rankin seems like he's moving well.
He is.
I mean, yeah, that's encouraging, because that's the one guy on the defense who can just like it's like the biggest like trump card. It's like it's a 50% lottery winning ticket, right? It's like you can either be high middle class or flat out rich with this guy. So he's someone that we're obviously keeping an eye on. And then in Davenport, I mean, I think the early returns of him, they've been pretty good.
Yeah, no, he's been really good too. And again, like the tackles have been getting a lot of days off.
Yeah.
So the level of like flash from him is probably inflated. You're going against guys that aren't Ryan Ramczyk or Teron Armstead oftentimes, but look, he's winning those.
Be more concerned if he was losing against Ethan, whatever.
And the biggest question from him is how he's coming back from the foot injury. Look, he's moving really well. It didn't. Did it end practice? Was it the last play? It might have been the last play of practice. If it wasn't the last play, it was the second to last play. They were doing 2-point conversion drill. Mm-hmm. They're running it in. He blows up a run and picks Ty Montgomery up from underneath the armpits and holds him up like the Lion King.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah. So it was crazy. It was a crazy play, but like his athleticism, like sometimes is, I don't know, like is the word, like sometimes it's just like overwhelming.
I see.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like,
he can just do stuff, huh?
Yeah.
That's encouraging. I mean, like I said, the bigger concern would be if he was not showing up against those guys. And I think I read somewhere that him and Teron had a pretty good.
Yeah, you read that on my site. Yeah, they were going at.
Well, they were going at mention stuff like directly, so I was.
They were going at it pretty good on one-on-ones. It was a good battle for both sides. Yeah.
And if he's competing with Teron's
the smartest tackle that.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't go like there's not a better pass blocking tackle in the NFL that
Teron's got to plan A, B, C, and D, and if that doesn't work, he's got E. Yeah, no, you aren't. Yeah, I mean, if you're battling him, you're battling like.
Yeah, it's all day.
You either have an extremely good plan or your athleticism's outrageous because you're beating an outrageously athletic guy with athleticism.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's crazy because remember his first year here, like Teron was like, he was just destroying him. Like, he didn't have a chance. So it's good to see, and listen, man, I think I want that narrative to like die with this whole Davenport thing because I think it's crazy. So, his success is something that I'm definitely paying attention to.
You're personally invested in it?
I am, man. I went to war with people over this guy, man. And it's not personal. I don't even know him. I don't care. But it's like, it just didn't make football sense. And I'm like, just be, come on, man.
They're gonna come for me if Montgomery isn't good.
Oh, so you're done.
Yeah, they're coming for me.
You're done. Yeah. I'm hoping that for you because.
Which is crazy because like I think like Ty, if he gets like 400, 500 yards, it's a good season.
I think that's like a great season.
Yeah.
That's like. That's a really good
like. What are we
season.
talking? Like I don't understand what we're talking, man. When people come at me and they're like, "Well, he wasn't good with the Jets," I'm like, Adam Gase.
Yeah, come on, man. This guy, he can't. I'm
Adam
not,
Gase.
Yeah, it's not even. It's kind of disrespectful.
Adam Gase left, and Ryan Tannehill became like a top 15 quarterback.
Like Adam people Gase get better left, when he's not there.
Adam Gase left, and Devontae Parker was like, "Oh wait, he's the one guy in the NFL that can dominate Stephon Gilmore."
That's a good point. Kenyon Drake went and got good.
Yeah, like come on, man, don't Ty might be like the ultimate camp player, and he might disappoint, but it's not going to be because like, oh well, he did this in New York last year and that wasn't good. Like, this is a creative coach. Like, that's
very mutually exclusive, man. Yeah, yep. All right, man. Well, that's all we got. Hey guys, make sure you keep on NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Sign up. Link in the show notes. Get all the content Nick is going to be writing about. He's been basically releasing practice reports every day that they have a practice, and even 2 a day sometimes. So, guys, make sure you go check it out. Make sure you follow NewOrleans.Football on Twitter at NODOT Football. Follow Nick at Nick_Underhill. You can follow me at Kevin Marsh Jr. Guys, that's it, man. That's all we got. I thought we had some more stuff to talk about, but that covers us up. So, with that said, thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week. We out.